Just hang on. And that's all you have to do, hang on. Just hang on.
Oh, Mama and Papa Avery, I said this one's for you.
Hello, everybody.
Just letting you know the world can see what they have put you through. Not that we could ever fathom or try to imagine the depth of your pain.
Hi, Lindsay.
But the case was a sham, the trial was a scam. The DA, he's a legal stain. I said, Mama and Papa Avery, we stand with you. No matter what the state says, oh, their lies we see through. Because the blood, it was a planet, the car was a planet. Sam William Henry 582. The bones they were planted, the bullet, yeah, planted. The key in the bedroom too. I said, Mama and Papa Avery, we send our love to you. Just letting you know we can see what they did and continue to
Hi, Spicy.
do. Oh, Mama and Papa Avery.
Hello. 1965.
One's for you. Just letting you know the world can see what they have put you through.
Thank you, Sean. Got it, buddy. It's primed and ready.
Power off.
Hello, everybody. So, for those who don't know, what you were just hearing is a composition by Mr. Stacy Seabrook, who's very much a friend of the channel, and he has made quite a few songs, and he actually continues to write them, and he continues to improve the ones that he's written. And they're coming along. He's really doing a great job there. So, wanted to go ahead and give Stacy, hello everybody, want to give Stacy his credit here. He's doing some great work, so he definitely deserves the credit. Okay, let's see. Hi, Erekose. I'm excited. This is the highlight of my day. Oh, well, that makes me feel really special. Hello, Bobby and Scott and RH. I'm sure one of you is watching. Oh, maybe one of them is. Maybe now one of them is. Who knows? I'm not really used to the success, so I don't know if I've made enough noise yet to get any of their attention. Let's see here. Started the fireplace. All right. So, as everybody knows, obviously I uploaded a premiere last night. And to just kind of go through some of the basics of what's going on with the case and why, essentially, just kind of why the three main, well, I would add a fourth. I would say Zellner's maybe not technically doing that, but I've always found Mike O to be particularly frustrating and annoying, and I just don't know enough about him other than I have heard that, he could potentially have had an interest in somebody and there could have been a jealous kind of aspect. So there's that, and then there's the whole nature of the very, very strange conversation that happened between Mike and Steven about Teresa, about, burying a body and hiding a body and all that kind of stuff, and that whole conversation taking place. yeah, I get it. Most people might just have that conversation, matter of fact, whatever. But in the midst of everything that's going on, it's odd to me that he's coming in there talking to Steve about that. So, by the way, all of y'all are just the best at digging for info and thinking rational. that seems to have been missing for a long time in this case. Well, there's always been rational thinking on this channel, but I will say that it's taken me about 2 years now to really catch on. Took MAM2 coming out to really catch on. But yeah, we've been heavy on that here for a while. Let's see. BOD is a heavy sleeper. He didn't hear the phone ring, so he probably won't hear this broadcast. Well, but he obviously heard the Teresa leave the message on the machine, right? He would have obviously heard that, because why else was he waiting for her at the window when she came, and everything, and getting ready to leave? He had to be pretty much ready to leave, So so there's that. He would have heard that. He definitely didn't sleep through that message, I would think. So. Good morning, Bluebird from Italy. Awesome. Always love the international supporter. Hi, Susan. With those investigations, let me see. Right on, but oh yeah, the investigators are horrible. Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Posted my first YouTube video today about my theory. Check it out. Check it and tell me what you think. Okay, I'll have to definitely do that after I'm done here. Let's see. I just hope I can get my chainsaw running. Who has extra money this time of year? Let's see here. Only a 2-minute video, Millbilly? In testimony, BOD said he did not check the answering machine. Okay, he said he didn't. Okay. Erekose is from the East Coast. Or I'm sorry, Erekose is from the West Coast. No doubt. No doubt Bobby guilty of sin. I don't think Teresa was the first victim. Okay, let's see here. Have you heard any of the stories of strange clubs in that area? Yes, I know Dave Bagaka. I actually had him on the show. Let's see. Even during Stephen's first wrongful conviction in the 80s, I'm in Ireland. Hi, Quadrex. Yeah, it's always kind of been a problem. That it seems like there is this kind of built-in corruption there. In Manitowoc or in that area or whatever it is, and Dave talks about some of the things that he experienced. It's the thing what happened with his bar and what happened to his friend who was running the bar. Those things you can look at, and they're there to see as being truthful. So I don't know. I don't see what Dave gains from this by saying all these things. I don't really see that he gains anything. He makes very few videos. He only really makes a video when he gets fired up about some certain point or aspect of the case is when he finally will make a video. It's not like he's trying to be a YouTuber or anything. So I don't know. I really don't see any point of gain for Dave. So I tend I just tend to give Dave the benefit of the doubt, certainly, because it's just, it would explain a lot of the way that the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department convicted, and Dennis Vogel, the DA, convicted Stephen Avery, knowing it was Gregory Allen. I mean, knowing all along that it was really Gregory Allen. I mean, Vogel had Allen's file in Stephen Avery's file. That's pretty much a dead giveaway. So, hello from Sydney. Hey, Sydney, Australia. Awesome. Interesting that Scott Taddock and Bobby's passing each other time coincides with areas of sighting of the RAV by a truck driver. Also, Schmitz ties the Lautenschlager and Zipperer ties to Remacher bookend Avery salvage yard appointment. Yeah, it's, well, that whole bit about them alibying each other from driving past each other, and then they're like, how would you know what time it was? Oh, I know Scott has a clock on his dash, so I figured he would know. That's like what Bobby said in court. And it's like, is this for real? Is this really coming in as real evidence? It was just crazy. It was wild. I mean, that was one thing we all tuned into right away when we watched the first Making a Murderer. Was Scott and Bobby's testimony in court. I mean, a great many people were disturbed by what they saw. I'll put it that way. Fifth largest GBP in the world. I believe Teresa died that day, but I believe her body has never been found. But how bold would it be for them to plant bones that weren't hers without confirmation of her death? That would be bold. So I don't know. I mean, here's how I feel about the whole, whether or not those are Teresa's bones or whether they're someone else's. The whole thing is, and I'm planning to do a video soon about it, is that the death certificate is really such a mess. It has typos, things crossed out, not proper boxes checked off. There was a lot of things with it. I remember back a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when we were all going through all the information and stuff, and I remember when we were all going through that death certificate, there was some issues with it, and because of the culmination of this hideous investigation, and then with this death certificate that was just a mess, it leaves the door open really for the people it leaves the door open for people to be able to say that maybe Teresa is alive. I mean, just because of all the jankiness and stupidity in the investigation and like I said on the death certificate and other things, it's like it leaves that door open where, I personally think she probably is dead, but I speak in probabilities, right? I speak in probabilities. And so I say she probably is dead, but I can't say, as much as I want to be able to just rule it out, I can't just say, but it's impossible that she's alive. I can't say that. I can't say it and feel like I'm being completely truthful, because I honestly think the probabilities are she is not alive, but there's a little bit of room for doubt. So anyway, I am a Dodgers fan. Let's see. Memo reportedly stated the conversation happened on 11/10/05. Exactly. Michael Osmondson. Yes. I haven't checked queso since my migraines have sidelined me. I'm curious. The day that they arrested Stephen Avery was 11/9. So there's no possible way that Michael Osmondson had this conversation with Stephen Avery on the 10th, right? It's not possible. So it had to be another day. So why is Michael Osmondson telling investigators the wrong day? Is he afraid to tell investigators himself that he was joking around about that on the 4th before they had even found the RAV4? Was he suddenly afraid to say that? Was he afraid that they might start looking at him? Right? That's all I'm saying about Michael Osmondson. It's just, there's some strange things there. I watched David's wife YouTube video, and she really seems to be being honest. Yeah, they just, that's the way Dave strikes me. Him and his wife. They just strike me as just honest, quiet kind of people. Generally, they kind of keep to themselves. They live in an area that's, if you see his property, when he does his videos, you can see his property. It's not like it's urban development going on, it's, so they live out in where there's open space, and he's just a very humble dude. So, I like Dave. Can you please tell me, Erekose, why would Steven say there was no fire, then change his story to there was a fire on Halloween night? Well, I don't. you know, I don't really know, dude. When it comes to that, the fire, the accounts of the fire just piss me off, really. Okay, and they don't piss me off for the reason some people might be thinking. They piss me off because they make no sense. Okay, let's go through all these various reports about these damn fires. It's crazy, right? So Stephen didn't have one. Stephen says he didn't have one. Then he says he did have one, and then blah, blah, blah. Okay, there is clearly a fire that had to be going in a burn barrel over by Barb's, and then so there must have so was there a fire in Stephen Avery's burn pit? Because if we go to Josh Redant and his account, the guy who says that the investigators were kind of pushing him to try to say that the fire was bigger and all that sort of stuff. He felt like that they were pushing him to do that, to the point where he finally just, hey guys, how big do you want me to say the fire is? Right? And then they eventually, because they realized they'd crossed the line, they probably backed off him. But yeah, I mean, so what Josh Redant says is he didn't see a fire in the burn pit. He saw a glow. He saw a glow that was coming from a burn barrel. He doesn't say, because he actually says if he would have seen, if there was a fire in the burn pit, he actually would have seen like flames. He would have actually seen real flame, right? But because it was in the burn barrel, he describes it as all he could see was a glow. So what do we think of that? Josh Redant's basically saying there was no fire in the fire pit. So this is what pisses me off about this account of this damn fire, right? And then let's go on to Scott Taddick. Okay, Scott Taddick really bugs me with his reports of this fire, because it starts out that this fire in Stephen Avery's burn pit is about 4 feet or maybe 4 or 5 feet high. Just a little fire, it's, whatever, right? Then he's interviewed like a second time, and suddenly this fire is now 6 to 7 feet high, right? Until finally Scott Taddick is in court, and this fire is as tall as the roof of the garage, right? It's just like, oh my God. So this is why I cannot stand all of the accounts of the fire, and it just pisses me off when I think about all of them. But so anyways, watch David. Okay, sorry, read that already. Can you please tell me, Erekose, why would Steve say? Okay, sorry, read that. Not to mention BOD cell phone pings. Not only Dave saw Steven, 2 others have as well. Yes, according to his latest video. Yeah, I saw that. If Barb and Scott were not dating in September of 2004, it is Mike and Bobby. Could be, I guess. Thought I would bring a little off subject politics. Brad Schimmel finally conceded. I did see that today. Brad Schimmel finally conceded the election to Josh Call. So yeah, I actually did see that today. It has about 30 seconds. Uh-oh. Well, we'll see. It's hard. I mean, if you're only here for Marissa, maybe we'll get her to start a YouTube channel. And, I agree, Mike. I've gotten to know more about him. Seems to be a person of interest. Why was the jury not sequestered? Don't know. Bold would be digging up parts of her biological father and planting them as hers. Ooh, yikes. That's a morbid thought. Yes, the monkey has 2 new friends. Here. Whoops. So you may notice they're like, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil over there now. Let's see. Many of the interviews said no fires, then there was, then there wasn't. Sheesh, hear you. Yeah, I know, right? It's just frustrating as hell, these accounts of these fires. It just, drives me insane. Not totally reaching with regards to Mike O. An offhanded back joke does not a murderer make. Poor taste, sure. Suspicious, nah. And he got the date of the conversation wrong. Not a big deal. So Well, that's fine. I mean, Taryn, I can understand where you're coming from. I can see what you're saying, but for me, him placing the conversation, well, as I said when I was talking about it, the morbid conversation isn't really. I mean, I can imagine a lot of people having that conversation, but the point is they're having it before. I mean, this is just a day after Teresa's been reported missing. They haven't found a RAV4. They haven't found any bones. They haven't found anything like that, any of that stuff. She's just a missing person. So, and Kratz and Bobby and all this were saying this was on the 4th. Well, is that why Bobby, or is that why Michael Osmondson didn't want to say that this conversation he had with Avery was on the 4th? Because he might have been worried that they might want to take a look at him instead. So it's for me, it's just a possibility, obviously. I do preface everything I say about Michael Osmondson as, you know, I can't say for sure he did this, but I'm going to point out the things that strike me as odd about him. I hope you'll forgive me. Anyway, let's see. There would have been huge plumes of smoke. Plumes of smoke that a lot more people would have noticed the smoke from. So much conflicted evidence and statements, confusing all the best of times. Fire becomes a mental symbol for the final evil committed. I'm pretty sure these people say they're Christian, and Steve was an evil guy. That's I think that's a pretty common, you know, way of thinking in the area. But did you see the video and the theory? Let's see. Plus, it was Halloween, right? It was Halloween. I believe or not, it's because ST is covering for BOD. Steven is only one who has stayed consistent in his statement. That's the way I feel about it. Steven, to me, even since 1985, Steven has maintained consistency over and over and over again since 1985. It's everybody around him in terms of law enforcement and all that sort of stuff. They're the ones that are constantly changing and have completely lack any kind of consistency or integrity. Bobby made multiple calls to only one number on 1031, except one call. Why does the chat do that? At 3:02, not sure if the time zone is right on the phone records. If it wasn't Scott T, maybe it was Myko. Could be. Myko is just something to consider. You know, it's just he's just there, and he's saying certain things, and he's involved, and like I said, you know, the accounts are that he was sweet on Marie Avery, and who was like a relation by marriage to the Averys, or is something to that effect. And so her and Steven were actually seeing each other. They were like, you know, whatever, going out or whatever a little bit. So there's that possible aspect of jealousy that could have been involved. So it's all, and like I said, I would have never, you know, all these things on their own would not have bothered me. But when I started noticing these little things about Mike, it just made me go, you know, I'm not saying he's the guy, but I'm not saying he's not the guy. So, I don't know. Anyway. What do you think of Bobby's recent interview? Buy it or not? Bobby's interview with Dietering for the new Queso investigation, the new Calumet County investigation into Teresa Halbach's death. I don't know what to think of it. I know that there's parts of Bobby's story that I don't buy. I don't believe. I feel like they are almost provably false. Oh, let's take, for instance, Teresa leaving the yard. Let's take that, for example. Correct? Okay. We have his brother, Brian, who says he remembers Bobby telling everybody when this all was happening that Teresa had left. And he remembers Bobby saying that. And he was telling deputies and stuff to go talk to his brother Bobby because he said she left. and he saw her leave. So so Brian remembers distinctly directing officers to go talk to Bobby about that. Then we have Bobby in court, and Bobby has now flip-flopped. Now Teresa didn't leave, and he saw her walking towards Steven's trailer. Right? Then skip forward to Barb and Scott on the prison phone call with Steven. Okay? At which point Barb says, "Oh yes, Bobby says she left." So now the story is he's now gone back again, and now Teresa has left. But then when we hear the interview with Dietering, we hear him clearly say he saw her going towards Steven's trailer. So, it's hard to believe certain things that Bobby says, and there were certain things in that interview I didn't buy. It's just, I don't know why he's lying. I do think that there's a possibility he's lying because, like everybody else in this case, he was getting bullied and threatened, possibly. I mean, there's no doubt that Josh Rodin felt bullied or pressured, and there's other witnesses, like there was another guy in the queso investigation that Dietering was trying to contact. The guy ended up, because he didn't want Dietering trying to come back and contact him anymore, he ended up calling one of his friends and having that friend call Dietering and tell Dietering not to contact him anymore. The guy didn't want to have anything to do with Dietering. And so we see this reoccurring theme. And then when Dietering goes to interview Brian Dassey, okay, Brian Dassey is very apprehensive. He doesn't want to let Dietering into his house, but he eventually gets the courage and he lets Dietering in, and I'm glad he did, because he really, really scored a victory in my opinion. But it's just goes to show that there are these people out there that don't trust these officers, that are very, very mistrusting of them. And that doesn't happen by accident. Club theory, what about TH's cousin's death? Carmen Boutwell? Her remains could have been, yes, that is a major theory that a lot of people talk about. That's kind of one of the Teresa's alive theories. And like I say, all people are welcome to discuss their theories here on my channel, but I will say that in my heart of hearts, the probabilities are that she actually is dead. The fire doesn't really matter, because if Rodin was close enough to see the glow, then if a body was burning, he would have smelled that. Absolutely. Well, there was the whole question of purchasing the trailer for a chick. Yes. That chick was Marie Avery. Yeah, but that doesn't make sense either. Commit a felony instead of just saying no. The rest of this dribble is even more inaccurate. Oh, I see. Okay. Bobby and Mike killed her. Scott helped burn body. Bobby or Mike plant blood. Colburn and Ryan plant the car. Colburn and Link the key. That's possible. Did you follow up on item FL and the potential discrepancy dates entered into the evidence found later? Yeah, what it looks like is yeah. You know what? I gotta do a video and clean that up. So there's other documents that actually have it right. Don't ask me how Mark Wiegert can spend an entire day coercing a 16-year-old kid to say things happened in the garage so that they could find that bullet, right? And somehow he biffs up the report and forgets that the bullets went in on March 16th instead of November 21st like the rifle did. That's what it comes down to. Wiegert's just a, buckethead. Who's the guy that called Scott to say he'd seen the Rav, but then ended up submitting an affidavit because Scott blew him off? Who's the guy that called Scott to say he'd... Oh. Wasn't that just before Colburn called in the... Yeah, exactly. So, yes. So, what Letha is bringing up here is the guy that was... The guy that had seen the RAV4 down by the dam or wherever it was where people, there was a few people that had seen it. And that gentleman had seen it, and when he got to that gas station, he'd seen it where it was, and then he was driving down the road and got to this gas station or whatever, and he gets out and he sees the flyer as he's going into the gas station, into the whatever, Food Mart or whatever. And as he's going in, he sees that, and he sees the RAV, and he's like, oh, hey. So he goes in, and it just so happens he sees a deputy there. He sees a sheriff's deputy right there. And he's like, oh, hey, right on. Okay, look, hey, check it out. I think I've seen this car and this flyer, and it was just right up the road there, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Explains it to the deputy. Thinks nothing of it. Goes on with his life. Doesn't think anything about it ever again. Just, hey, he told the deputy where to find it, right? Then, in 2015, this same gentleman is sitting down and watching Making a Murderer, the very first Making a Murderer. And then he sees that same deputy that he talked to that day testifying on the stand about a little call into dispatch. Sam William Henry 582, right? And so the guy starts putting it together going, wait a second, I told that guy where it was, and it wasn't at Avery Salvage, right? And so the guy starts texting Scott, or either texting or sending him message through Messenger or something, whatever. It was a text, right? So he's texting Scott, hey, I think I actually saw that RAV4, and I told that guy, Colburn, and he's like trying to tell Scott, hey, look, I think I know something here. And Scott basically responded with, hey, I'm sick. I'll get back to you in a day or two or something like that or whatever. It was something like that. He was sick or whatever, right? Well, the guy ended up going, okay, well, whatever. He actually just called Zellner himself and just told her what he knew, right? So this is just amazing, really. It's amazing because, we all knew Colburn was up to no good. He was doing something, right? We knew, it's just obvious, right? But now we have this guy's account where he told Colburn where to find it, and it wasn't on the Avery salvage yard, right? So, anyways, whatever made Barb's blazer being burnt in the field a year previous to the murder is a little odd. Found of Xander Road. I'm not sure. I presume you are talking about Queso 2.0 with Dietering. Total softball interview. Yeah, Sean, he had several videos of it the last few days. I agree, Greg G, but in some way makes some sense. Maybe not Avery, but the other guy. Need some spy satellite photos of the area from that night. Yeah, that would be helpful. Don't even... Lab tech supposedly compromised evidence, and Dean and Jerry didn't destroy the lab tech's testimony at all and didn't bring in an expert to help refute that testimony. Right. On FKFL, yes, a mistake, but it raises other problems in measurements. Wasn't sure if you were here. Good question. Letha. Where's Letha? Hold on, I'm getting lost in the chat here. Alright, let's see. Brian, I'm familiar with phlebotomy process. Search the web on EDTA, can be neutralized, and apparently sodium hydroxide neutralizes EDTA. I thought the trailer was for a love interest. Devil's advocate, if the police in Manitowoc wanted to interview any of you here, I wouldn't let you if you were my client. Let's see here. Any truth to TH affair with a married man? Yes, there's truth to it. She had an affair. She had a sexual relationship with a guy named Brad Sheck, and Brad Sheck had a wife who Teresa had originally done some, boudoir photos of him and his wife, but then it ended up becoming a little bit more between him and Teresa later on down the road. It's true. Technically, it would have been 11-1, but he was late 2 hours. If she was alive, it would already be known. Her pic is now being seen all over the world. That is a fair point. That's a very fair point. I'm a California licensed clinical lab scientist for 25 years. I was phlebotomist for 2 years during my internship. Interesting. It's a dead end. I said it was going to be, and it was. It is. It's in the CASO files, MTSO files. You are the only dead end in this chat. On FKFL, yes. Lab tech supposedly compromised evidence, and Dean and Jerry Wright. I think they discovered the stuff on BD computer and basically blackmailed him into testifying or he'd be prosecuted for the images. That I can see happening. That is highly freaking plausible to me. That is very, very plausible in my mind. So I think that there is certainly a possibility of what Dan Coates just said. I would never talk to those jamokes without a lawyer. Wasn't sure if you were here. Any relation to Mike with any Wisconsin state officials, family-wise? Dave Bagaka told me this morning that Mike's father was a law enforcement officer. That's what Dave said. I don't know that for sure, but I tend to believe Dave. He knew the area. He knows the people. Any relation to Mike with any, let's see, any relation family-wise? Maybe he went to his family for help and accidentally shooting TH hunting that day, or that MO Sarn. Yeah, it could be. I mean, Mike Osmondson could possibly could not be involved. I mean, I don't really know, but there's enough there that I keep him on the radar, because I just see enough there that I don't forget about him. I guess that's the best way to describe it. I have some uneasiness about him. Not saying he's the guy, not saying there's a huge probability. I'm just saying he never leaves my mind, because there's just enough things about him that concern me. DNA tech only compromised the negative control sample in the FL analysis, and FL had no contamination. Are there any pictures of the scratches on BD? Yeah, they are somewhere. I don't know where they are, but they are somewhere. In fact, you know where you can find them? Let me see. I wonder if I can... Hold on. Let me see if I can get you guys a link real quick. All right, I don't know how many of you folks are on Facebook. But if you are on Facebook, if you're looking for a place to go find lots of stuff about this case, lots of newspaper articles that have been dug up, and various... This group that I'm about to share you the link here has a lot of different, what they call albums. And what it is a post that has like all their information. Like they have an album about Ryan Hilligas. They have an album about Bobby. They have an album about Scott. They have an album about the RAV4. They have an album about the trailer. So they'll have all these different albums, and so it's possibly a place where some of you might be able to go to help you kind of get at some information. Plus, there's some people in that group that will also be able to help you if you're interested. So I'm going to put that link here now. So that's the link there. Oh, thank you so much, Murray McLean. So let's see here. Let's go back up a little bit. Erekose, aka Matt Damon, stunt double. You're not the first one to say that. I've had somebody else say that about me too. It's funny. Is Zellner ever going to ping Selber? You know, a lot of people keep asking that. I got to imagine if it was if it was available, or if she could get it, she would have already gotten it. Maybe she does already have it. She just isn't talking about it. I don't know. I would think if she had it though, she would need to mention it in her briefs. If she had it. The reason why she would, and Travis can probably confirm this, the reason why she would, if she had that, and the reason why she would need to mention it in her briefs is because if she wasn't mentioning it in her briefs, or like in her, her petitions and her replies and responses and everything going back and forth with all the various court proceedings lately, if she doesn't have it in there where it's on the record, then the Court of Appeals can't review it. So it's hard to say. I would have to say my gut tells me she wasn't able to get that information about Colburn. Like, for whatever reason, whatever cell phone company he was using back then or whatever doesn't keep that information or something like that. But trust me, there's enough people asking that question right now, Todd, that if she hasn't done it, she probably is thinking about it. FL was actually entered in March. And that's true. It was actually entered in March. Mark Wiegert's just an idiot and can't remember what he coerced out of Brendan. He's just a moron. Sorry about the confusion, but Wiegert's a moron. That's all we can say. File images on BOD computer where the August, November dates. He was looking at them, or the dates, and they were deleted. I'm confused on this. Could they have been planted? Gives LE leverage. Some people have been reasoning that way, that they think that LE could have planted on the computer. I think that's problematic. I think they probably wouldn't have done that. I think also that in 2005, these bungling Keystone cops wouldn't have had the computer sophistication to pull it off. I don't know. It seems unlikely, but maybe. Exactly, ping Colburn's phone. He was looking at the RAV4 when he made that call. Absolutely. Next step is she has a brief due on 12/20. That's true. What about her strange video, y'all? Her? LLL? Who's her? Are you talking about Zellner? Are you talking about Exhibit J? Do we know if the times match up with the time guy told Colburn about the car at the gas station? Yes, Zellner wouldn't have put it in MAM2 if it wasn't all vetted out. Unless he had child porn, there isn't anything to prosecute. Searches don't count. I can't get over how strange she was acting. Like Barb lying about the internet being on has me wondering why lie. She knew it was on. Yeah, some people are theorizing or reasoning that possibly it was the kids were getting like the America Online discs where you could get you get a certain amount of hours of America Online for free. And so some people are reasoning that maybe the kids were doing that. It was in Bobby's room, right? The pictures show it in Bobby's room. So it's not like what was going on with the computer would have been something that Barb was really aware of, because number one, it was in Bobby's room, so she didn't probably see it very much just because of where it was, and then like I said, but it could also be that they had internet and she is lying. I don't know, but to me the fact that it was in Bobby's room, it was not in a common area, leads me to believe that Barb really didn't know much of what was going on with that computer. That's just my gut on it. I spoke to Dave and his wife about the seeing essay in the garage about at the garage about 1800 on that day of the murder, and I believe him. Why wasn't video footage checked? And why did SA not admit it is very puzzling. Well, these are all the reasons why evidentiary hearings are important. You guys are all pointing, that's what you guys are pointing out right now. I hope you know that. You may not have realized it. But this is why evidentiary hearings need to happen. Because we're all sitting here arguing about all these things, but we need to sift through it. We got to get rid of the stuff that's no good and get down to what's going to tell us something. And a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, I would have to be perfectly honest and say is going to prove to be untrue. So it's just a matter of being patient and waiting for the evidence, really. But obviously it helps that we all keep digging and pulling up other little pieces of things that help kind of fill in the picture for us in other places. So, we're doing the best we can, but it's possible that it's possible. What could the police frame BOD for, and why couldn't he have just told in all this years after all this story? If you're asking why, if you're saying why, let's see, let me see what you're asking here again. What could the police frame Bobby for? They wouldn't be framing him for anything. They would have been threatening him with the content on the computer, to my mind. Actually, if you think about it, they were taking all of Steven's porn because they were going to be using that to suggest that this was a sexually motivated crime of opportunity and whatever. So I imagine they could have been telling Bobby, well, we could make the same case for you with all the stuff that's on this computer. So they could have intimidated him that way. There's a number of ways I could see them intimidating people here. In fact, I'm sure that they have intimidated many people here. Thoughts on Mike Halbach? Mike Halbach strikes me as fishy. Mike Halbach should not have been talking about the grieving process while his sister was still missing. And really for me, the crowning little moment for Michael is when he's doing that one news interview and he's sitting there talking so full of himself and everything, right? And he's sitting there talking and he's going, oh yeah, Brendan's guilty. He's like, if you ever have any doubt of that, you just take that VHS tape, you pop it in the VCR and you watch it. He goes, and then you'll know. And he's like feeling all smug and self-assured saying it, right? Until one of the reporters behind him goes, Mike, have you actually watched it? To which he goes, no. It's like, oh, grief. It's just, this case is just so bogus. It's just beyond. But look, these things bother me about Mike, but I've never done a video about Mike. And the reason why is because I won't touch Teresa's family. It just won't. Times match up for Rainbow. If Colburn call happened on 11/4, recordings weren't dated because flyers weren't put out until 11/4. So that would be a great experiment. Puppy and scratches on back. Who has a puppy? Erekose, the link is above. Let's see, link me, meow. Sweet things, Erekose. Thank you, kind sir. Yeah, so that Facebook group is real helpful. You'll find some real helpful stuff in there. All right, I gotta get through some of this and stop talking so much. Let's see. Just like to say, Erekose, that the fact you... Yeah, oh, sorry, I read that one already. I heard that 2 jury members having relation, meaning family members working in the county. Yeah, one was related with a clerk of the courts, and another one was related with a actual sheriff's deputy. Colburn had a white SUV. He had a white Jeep, correct. SA and BD are never going to be released. Yeah. Well, I understand your opinion, Falcon. You tell him, Amber. Let's see. There's no way they'll be able to keep them there with all this mess. Well, that's just it. Now everybody sees Zellner's evidence and sees all the holes that have been shot through the prosecution's, theory, and it's just ridiculous. Every power structure has some level of corruption, and listening to Dave's videos today has me intrigued again. I studied ritual sacrifice, etc., but stopped because it really messed my head up. Yeah, I was listening earlier today and hear something about Barb saying she was told during Crivets that, and they threatened her and would not let her be there for the interrogation. It wasn't a threat so much, but she got there on March 1st after being at divorce court all day. She gets there. She gets out of divorce court around like 2:30. She gets over to the police station around 3. The interview is pretty much wrapping up at that point anyway. I mean, she's missed most of it. They had Brendan all weekend, and then they deliberately waited until this day, March 1st, to do it when Barb wouldn't be around. I mean, this is not rocket science here, Depending on when it was viewed, the images on the DASI computer supposedly viewed by Bobby because of time frames should be damning, apart from the porn of all sorts, mutilation of corpses, etc., etc. If they had them and it supported her theory, they would have been submitted into court filings. What about hospital records to confirm the time of surgery for ST's mom and hospital visitor logs? What about hospital records too? There has been some people that have looked into the hospital, and there's definitely some things on Reddit about that. I believe there was an account of one person at the hospital. I believe it was at the hospital. It might have been at Scott's work, about a younger gentleman, a younger man, or a teenager calling kind of frantic, wanting to speak to Scott, and there's little things like that you can find that people have dug up on Reddit. Let's see here. If they had them and it supported her theory, they would have been submitted in court filings. Absolutely. That's what I figure. I mean, she needs it on the record, especially when you're going to the appeals court. If you don't have it on the record, and that's why when she was at the appeals court and they suddenly handed over the CD to her, she was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me, right?" And so she tells the court of appeal, "Look, I want to be able to talk about this CD in my appeal now. I want to talk about this when we're, whatever." Then the court of appeals made the decision, wait, whoa. And they decided they were going to do it right, and they were going to send the CD back to the district court, have the things get filed there, and all the the petitions and the things get filed and the whatever, and then come back. That's how it gets on the record. So in order for the appeals court to review it, it has to get on the record. So that's where that's the tricky bit. What about the hospital records? Okay, why would they plant porn on BOD computer? I don't know that they did, so I wouldn't know how to answer you. I don't know, How can I get the queso for the case, or can you tell me why they were questioning BD in the first place? Well, okay. First off, do you want queso? Do you want the investigation reports? Because I can give you a link to that. fact, I should have that in the info below these videos. But essentially, why they were questioning Brendan Dassey. So here, look, let me put it this way. In February, February 22nd, 3rd, whatever, yeah, something like 22nd or 23rd, Mark Wiegert and Tom Fassbender were visiting Jody, and they were trying to get Jody to say things about Steven. And they were trying to coax her into saying, bad things about him. They tried to get her to say that he wanted sex too much. They were trying to get her to say all these things. And it was weird how many of the things they wanted her to say were of a sexual nature and all that. They totally creeped her out. And so she eventually, one day they left, and she just told the jail people, like, you know what? Don't let them in anymore. I don't want to speak to them. If they come, just say, move along. Jody doesn't want to speak to you. She actually cut them off. And so then they were left because they were still digging. Trust me, they knew that there were problems with the evidence. They knew that. They were aware of it. And so when they weren't able to get what they wanted from Jody, now they needed to get it somewhere else. Where did they look? The Dassey boys. That's when all the Dassey boys get brought to Fox Hills over the weekend. And all that happens that we don't know much about. There's no recordings, no transcripts, really, nothing. Hardly anything about what happens at Fox Hills. And then, suddenly, after Fox Hills, Brendan emerges as this person who might know something, who a potential witness, right? That they were, yeah. Anyway, so all the BS that they were running. Since RH was such a highly intelligent password wizard, why didn't the entire search party go to Avery Salvage and not be split apart? Did SA even have a computer? He did, but it wasn't working at the time. Her ex-boyfriend was way too shifty on the stand. Yeah, absolutely. I call him dodgy. That's what he is. He's just dodgy. Dodges everything. I mean, almost every question he dodges. Since RH had the page from the planner, yep, that is a problem. Ryan has that page of the planner that she hand wrote in. And not only that, we have Ryan telling Tom Fassbender that Teresa filed with her insurance over the blinker. And that she got a lump sum and just didn't fix it. And that's not true. Kathleen Zellner checked with Teresa's insurance company at the time. They have no claim regarding that. So then the guilters were trying to say, oh no, it was with somebody else's insurance, right? So that's what they were saying, and I was like, oh. And they were saying, there's a document at the DOJ. There's a document. They have it at the DOJ. That's what the guilters were saying. And I was just like, oh, yeah, it's at the DOJ, right? And that's when I started kind of making fun of some of those people and saying, and no quoting fairy tale evidence from the DOJ. Okay? So I started prefacing conversations with that. And as it turns out, that Queso 2.0, in that investigation, they're going to Mike, and they're desperately trying to get Mike to go digging through all of his old computers, hoping and praying that on a wing and a prayer, they're going to find a picture of that damage on the RAV4. Hoping and praying, basically is all they got. And Michael and Mike Halbach even says in the paperwork, he even says, I don't know that it's there, but I'm really, really hoping. Basically, he says something along those lines. And so, yeah, we know now there was no insurance claim. Ryan's full of it. And it just adds to all the other things that make him look suspicious. StephenAveryCase.org, that's the one. If you read the interview where the joke about burning a body, go read the deer tag application. No one that takes roadkill hangs it, unhangs it to tag it. No way you used it to transport body. Read them. Okay. Yes, he did, and had internet, but no porn searches, and anything. Well, from what I understand, his computer was actually not working. Like he had, like had been working at one point, but it broke down or whatever, and then he hadn't been using it for like 6 months. That's what I've heard. So maybe the men's clubs Dave was talking about was grooming all those young girls, and this was for their first murder to prove themselves. Yeah, possibly. Bobby lied about it being in his bedroom. He did lie, and he said it wasn't in his bedroom, and the pictures clearly show it there. That's true. I read that BD was caught with porn as well. Is that true? Or are they saying the computer was owned by BD, not BOD? Okay, yes, the prosecution was saying it was Brendan Dassey's computer, which they were misrepresenting it. They were trying to by saying it was Brendan Dassey's computer, Dean and Jerry didn't think of Bobby, who they were trying to suggest was a Denny suspect. Had they said it was Bobby Dassey's computer, like the room they found it in, Dean and Jerry would have probably. So you got to understand that what they were doing with this computer evidence and what they were doing with this CD and what they were doing with all this stuff is they were playing a game. They had it for 8 months. Okay? And then suddenly dump it all on Dean and Jerry with about 3 weeks before Denny. About 3 weeks before Denny's due. But they don't give him the CD. Okay. Reason why this is important is because the DVDs require a special program called Encase to open them and view them. And even when you do that, it's like clicking through your computer. Can you imagine going through your computer and just like start clicking through every single file, folder, and file, and application, and document, and whatever else on your computer, and clicking through, checking every single thing one by one by one. And you have 7 DVDs, right? So, seriously, is that enough time, 3 weeks, to really be able to do that? And to really realize that number one, is it enough time to start to evaluate it and realize whether or not they even have something there? Because Ken Kratz has obviously lied to them. He has stipulated that there is nothing of evidentiary value there. If there's nothing of evidentiary value there, then why are you hiding the CD? Because if you had handed over the CD with the DVDs, Dean and Jerry would have been able to pop the CD right into their computer. They would have seen the file that was created by Detective Veely. They would have clicked on that, and it would have been PDF format, so they wouldn't have needed any special program. And they would have opened up Detective Veely's file on that CD, and they would have went, "Whoa, my Lord, what are we looking at?" And they would have figured out right away that evidence was pertinent, and it was going to allow them to meet Denny with Bobby. The fact that they were hiding the CD, Fassbender writing a report about what was found on the computer that was completely whitewashed, and then, like I said, handing over these 7 DVDs 3 weeks before Denny's due, completely jamming up the defense, and in my mind, it's a total game playing that they're doing here. Absolutely, hands down, game playing, and you got to wonder why they're playing all those games. If they think Stephen Avery's the guy, if they're sure that Stephen Avery's the guy, then why are they playing all those games? Right? Anyway. Bobby lied. I read that BD was caught with okay, too much speculation. Bobby lied about the computer being in his bedroom in the case interview. Absolutely. Erekose, that is the ball we need to keep our eye on. Yeah, absolutely. Bobby said the computer was never in his room. I'm not saying that he was involved, but yeah, it's him saying that is fishy. His inconsistent statements and his provably false statements, he is going to have to deal with at some point. He may be hoping he doesn't, but he's going to have to. The inconsistent statements are going to get called out at some point, in my mind. Let's see. I got one of those. I got one of those one time and got internet without necessarily telling my grandpa. But believe me, she found it. Your grandma. That's funny. It just could be that Barb wasn't very interested in that computer. I don't know. By listening to her talk to Steven, I got the impression that computer wasn't really something she was very concerned with. Just the way it struck me. I don't know. All speculation, but good that people are interested in justice. Yeah, absolutely. She's got a job. It's to implement anyone she possibly can in order to get her client out of jail. Right. No matter who the evidence points at. Right. Following the evidence. Following the inconsistent statements. Following the, Will Zellner get her day in court, do you think? I think she's ultimately going to. Is it gonna be this round? I hope, but it may not. It may be next round. She's gonna go back and if she gets knocked down this time, she's gonna go back. She's gonna collect more evidence because she's now made all of that part of the record, right? Everything that she's bringing right now, that's all now part of the record. All of her experiments that she did in her 1,200-page motion, all the things that have been coming out, the computer stuff, all of that stuff now. Every bit of that is on the record. So, if they do deny her this time, then she goes back and she starts testing more. And she starts poking more holes until she continues to poke holes until the point where the case is just completely gone. She'll just keep poking holes. Eventually, she's going to get it. That's my feeling about it, but it may not happen overnight. I read about roadkill deer. It's a very strange story. Barb has another version of the story. Yeah. She likes to get 5 possibilities. Erekose, if someone were to ask you today, what is your best theory of what happened, what would you say? I don't know, Chad. I mean, right now, I'm honestly, have always had an issue with Ryan. I've always had an issue with Ryan. I've, always had a problem with Scott's testimony and Bobby's testimony. And, Zellner's, continuing to dig. And it looks bad. I mean, the thing that kills me here is that, yeah, we have this evidence against Avery, but most of us can look at it and go, that was planted, that was planted, that was planted, that was planted. But what about the blood in the RAV4? That one's a little harder to deal with, right? How did that planting happen? And so we have the sink now. So this is where it's like I said, the blood in the RAV4 right now is the crux of this case. All the other evidence is really bogus and ridiculous and everything, but explaining how Steven's blood gets in the RAV4 is an important part of trying to figure out what happened here and know what happened here. But what strikes me as odd is that it's not really Steve that's looking bad here. It's with all the continued investigations, with all the continued attention on this and all that sort of stuff, right? We don't really see anything bad coming out about Steven. We don't see anything getting dug up that would point to Steven's guilt. But stuff is getting dug up that makes Ryan look weird and makes Bobby look weird and makes Scott look weird. You know what I mean? So there is stuff getting dug up that's making those gentlemen look suspicious, but not Steven. And so that's kind of one of the interesting things, I think. But I don't know. I really don't know right now, Chad. I'm waiting for things to flesh out a little bit more before I make any grandiose guesses. Legally, this porn stuff is just isn't an issue outside of it being Brady. Well, let me ask you something, Travis. When you say that, you say this porn stuff just isn't an issue, but so when you say that, do you believe that even if Dean and Jerry had it, that it wouldn't have helped them make Brady with Bobby? Just curious if that's what you were, if that was also what you were suggesting. Bobby was awful. Buddy with the cops. Yeah, it's true. Seeing him in the hallway and all that sort of stuff. Then you'll know, but he never watched it. Yes, there's no reason to do that. Why hunting a deer and no tag? Huge red flag. Erekose, you pointing out the SA blood is the crooks. That is why I wondered if the EDTA could be neutralized and it could be done. I know, I understand, Brian. Okay. That's I agree, but see, I've also, and I got to research this a bit more. It's why I don't talk about it a whole lot. But from what I can understand, the police have the ability to reliquefy blood if they use the right kind of water to rehydrate. Like they can kind of reliquefy it where it's actually like real blood, like without damaging like the cells or something. Whatever they do in rehydrating it, it doesn't make the sample look like different than just regular blood. If that's true, I know that there's points in Queso where there was, I think, 2 different points where officers were trying to reliquefy some dry blood of Avery's and stuff like that. So if we have officers attempting to do that, and they actually do have the ability to reliquefy blood, yeah, to me, that could be a potential place where the blood came from as well. Now, obviously, what you're saying about potential EDTA neutralization, sure, I could see that there might be something to that, but would the planters have been thinking about that? Neutralizing the EDTA? That would be my big question. Would the planters have known or thought of that? Maybe they would have because of OJ, though. Maybe they would have. Certainly OJ made everybody aware of EDTA in blood vials. So maybe. Clear this up for me, please. Was the coroner not allowed on the scene because they said it was a conflict of interest? Yet a local cop found the damn key. How on earth is this? Exactly, Murray. You're pointing right at something that's absolutely valid. Every other branch of Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department was on the property. All the departments that had been involved with Stevens' 1985 conviction, right? The ones that weren't supposed to be there because of a conflict of interest, right? Then it comes to the one department of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department that actually didn't have a conflict of interest with Stevens' 1985 case. And you know why that is? Because Penny Burnson is still alive. So they didn't need a coroner, right? So it's literally the one department of Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department that doesn't have a conflict of interest. And it's the one department of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department that is barred. What? And not only barred, but like 2 high-ranking city officials called her to tell her to stay away from the Avery salvage yard, besides Sheriff Peterson. Whoa. Okay, still that's crazy to me. Also, thanks for the reply. I worry this may get Steven out, but not Brennan. Your thought? I don't know. I think Brennan's coming out no matter what, eventually. Joseph may know as a lab tech. Today's preservative keeps blood fresh. Yes. You wouldn't expect fingerprints inside a vehicle, inside on mirrors and windows. Could have worn gloves, but who knows? Maybe different wound, but I feel SA was set up again. Yeah, the glove theory doesn't work for me because how did he bleed? And then, so anyway. Blazer on fire in 04. Must have been some connection. Could possibly be. Was the start of what was about to happen. Sorry. Coroner was an elected official of the counties. SA sues the county. 36. Travis William Esquire, yes, blood bank saline would do just fine, and sterile water would damage cells, but DNA would remain intact. Interesting. Thank you, Joseph. That's interesting. Good to know. You really need a third moderator in here. We need another set of eyes. Yeah, Amber, I've been already thinking about that. Calumet was allowed to use Manitowoc employees. Let's see. Channel Q hence removing blood from the purple top vial with DNA with EDTA, neutralizing the EDTA with sodium hydroxide, then planting it in the reservoir. Let's see here. Drinking some vodka. I don't think vodka could mix. I don't think you could hydrate blood with vodka. I mean, you could probably rehydrate your own, but actually no, because alcohol really actually kind of makes you pee and dries you out. All three elements need to be met. Read Wisconsin law. Steph connected, and Steve Avery was definitely put on the town. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Wrong souls. Okay, hold on. Let me go back up here a little bit. Two hunters. A huge read in the deer tag application in the joke interview. Yeah, and the other thing is Steve didn't hunt. See, that was what Zellner's also bringing up, is that the bones found had saw marks on them from from the tools that hunters would use to, break up, a kill, and to saw some of the joints apart or whatever to make it easier to carry or whatever, right? And so. Those saw marks are interesting because Stephen Avery wouldn't have had a hunting kit like that. He didn't hunt, so it's odd that those marks get on the bones. I mean, these are the things that Zellner is pointing out. So it's and they're not, and she's not pointing them out because they're invalid. So alcohol thins blood. It does. Let's see here. Yes, I made you a mod. I'm glad you're honored. Good, because I didn't want to have to pick somebody else. We were talking about, and congratulations, Amber. Let's see. What do you think about the comment Kratz made about the tires, Erekose? I think if Kratz made it, it's a bunch of crap. What are you talking about? How Stephen used the tires to fuel the fire? And that's how Stephen was able to make it hot enough in the open burn pit. I think I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. I don't know. For me, dang it. For me, like I said, the inconsistency of the reports of the fires is just a huge issue for me. So I don't know what to make of King Kratz's attempt to weigh in on it. The coroner referred to law as to why she should have been on the scene. Do you know if it's the law? It was dismissed by Judge Willis on relevance. Yeah, I think it's highly relevant to the planting and framing defense that the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department and the investigators were trying to keep the sole department of Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department that didn't have a conflict of interest away. I think that's significant. No matter how you slice it, dice it, it's no matter what, it's significant. Erekose needs some mods with testosterone. Is that what you're saying, Greg? You want to be a mod? Spotted 2-door late model by witness, and on the return car gone blazered, burning in field. Car spotted in two-door late model. Witness. Okay. Xander Road 2, okay. He said that the person who hid the car purposely hid the tires. Yeah, okay, so if we're talking about hiding the RAV4 then, person who hid the car purposely hid the tires. So we're talking about the RAV4. I think that what was done to the RAV4 was not hiding it. I think what was done to the RAV4 made it stick out like a sore thumb. I didn't see what Kratz said about it. I've actually last night didn't get to like look into anything because I was actually listening to Ken Kratz's book on audiobook. So I'm in the process of listening to that mess, and we'll probably be coming forth with some videos on that. But I haven't heard the interview you're referring to, so I guess I'm having a little trouble. There would be metal coils left behind. There was hoops. There was like the steel belts in the fire pit, but who knows when that was from? I mean, Stephen Avery would burn tires in that burn pit all the time. Kathleen says in MAM2 that cops have kits that contains the sterile water that could exactly right. So that's what I'm getting at. I'm looking at potential places the blood could come from besides Stephen Avery's sink. I think it's important to at least point out that it could have come from other places. And since we are so sure that the cops were planting these certain things, if they were trying to reliquefy blood, I mean, kind of just like ipso facto, that it's possible that they were planting that blood. So, people charge their stories about seeing a fire that night, but the biggest thing, in my opinion, that makes S.A. look guilty is himself changing his story. Why would S.A. specifically do that? When did he change his story? I've never seen Steven change his story. The only time I've seen Steven's story change is when other people try to give an account of what Steven said. In other words, when I see other people trying to say that Stephen Avery said something, that's when I see Steven's story change. But when I see Steven talk, the story remains the same. So, yeah, that's basically where I stand on that, I guess. So, 36 million was a drop in the hat. I did not buy it. Let's see. There were a lot of burned tires. Colburn was off of work on November 4th. Macandata, he couldn't hunt because he wasn't supposed to have firearms, being a felon. Oh, that's true. You actually paid. Well, actually, that paperwork hadn't been filed. Anyways, long story. You actually paid for... No, I didn't. I didn't pay for it. SA needed to burn a lot of tires to get rid of the body. It was disguised like so Pam could easily find it. A lot easier to find a car covered in branches amongst... Exactly. It stuck out like a sore freaking thumb. I mean, it wasn't hidden. I mean, yeah, anyways. Maybe he just checked it out from the library. It was basically, it was sent to me by somebody. I'm not saying anything else. That's it. I didn't pay for it, and I'm listening to Ken Kratz's book. License plate puzzles me. Is it true that Wendy Baldwin was carrying around a cloth of S.A.'s blood? Yes, it is. That is very true. Wicked Wendy. That's what we call her. Also, I heard him say there were metal grommets in the fire pit from a trap used to catch her blood. Later, Kratz says there were grommets from her jeans. Well, they do say they found rivets from Daisy Fuentes' jeans. But think about it. If somebody burned her in the barrel with her jeans on, the rivets would end up in the barrel. And if somebody tipped that barrel into Stephen Avery's burn pit, right? Then the rivets would fall out of the trash can, and the rivets would fall into Stephen Avery's burn pit. So, whatever the story is on the grommets, they did find rivets for Daisy Fuentes' jeans, but they didn't find all of them. You should repeat that comment, Josiah. What did Josiah say? Oh. Erekose, he had a prior conviction for felon in possession of firearm. Yes, he did. From 1985. Part of what they convicted him of was him pointing the rifle at his cousin because she was spreading all those rumors, and so he got fed up and he went and he kind of running her off the road and pointed a rifle at her. So because of that, 8 years of Stephen's original sentence was rightly served. And when he was exonerated, he was supposed to be unable to own firearms. The funny thing is that I've been hearing is that for some reason that paperwork or whatever about him not being able to own a firearm didn't get finalized or didn't get sent through properly or whatever. And for some reason, and basically what I'm hearing is Ken Kratz had to go and kind of refile it to make sure to get it on file so that they could actually arrest Stephen and hold him until his trial. So yeah. I've read Avery got it used. It wasn't much. We don't already know with a few mentions of sweaty sweat. Oh, dude, the things that I'm finding interesting about Kratz's book is just the way that he talks about people, and not just like people like me or people that believe that Stephen might be innocent or that Brendan is innocent. Not just those. He has when I listen to this thing, he has a contempt, seriously, for all other people. He just thinks everybody else is dumb. And it's up to him to enlighten everybody. I don't know, man. The way he words things and everything, I just sit there going, you are such a piece of work. You are such a piece of work. He is just absolutely a piece of work. Because just to let you know, he said in the interview where he got cuffed that there was no fire that night. He said to Jody on the phone that Brendan was over at the fire I don't really know what the story might be there. If he was at first not remembering having a fire or wasn't thinking of the fire they had, I just don't know. Jason, or how about crushed then dropped in a lake? The car was definitely planted. I just hope Zellner got some paint from the Pinto to compare whenever she gets the turn signal, right? I think she does because she wants that turn signal. So I gotta imagine she's ready. If Colburn was off duty that day, how did the guy know he was a cop to tell him about the RAV4? Well, maybe it was on the, I don't know, maybe it was on the, well, it'd have to be maybe it was on the 3rd. Having a drink for you, Erekose. Right on. Thanks, Quadrex. The Pinto or metal pole. Oh, yeah, there is a gate. Oh, sorry. There was also a gate that you had to go through to get to this back entrance of the Avery property. And I don't know how to describe it. So it's a gate, and if you imagine, like, here's the post right over here, like the post that it swings on. So if you imagine this gate is like this, and it swings like this, basically, right? You know, and what they're theorizing is that on this piece that was going, like, you know, maybe not 45 degrees, but the piece that was angled, they think that bar might have hit the RAV4, and that gate was all very much the same color as that smudge we see on the tail light. So it's two possibilities of where that you know, brown red smudge could have come from on the light. Because I got to listen to the KK book, get info from all sides, and make the best analysis. Oh, thanks, Quadrex. By the way, I'm going to allow Super Chat again. YouTube has basically stopped messing with me. So if they're going to behave, then if you guys want to Super Chat, you guys go ahead and Super Chat if you want. Was a First Amendment complaint. Heather the Rivet clearly has the name in it. Let's see, small town. I'm sure they recognize him out of the uniform. Well, but that guy said he went and talked to an actual sheriff's deputy. I don't know. Honestly, the day they found the RAV4, Link was supposed to be off work, but then he was supposedly at an RV, like an RV lot or whatever, and then like was called in. And then when you look at like when he was clocked in for that day, he was like clocked in for 12 hours that day. It's like bizarre. It's hard to know who's off, on, who's whatever. It's just weird. You guys are free to choose, obviously. Thank you, Quadrex, though. Thank you. I appreciate it. Kratz sounds like a woman trying to be a man, trying to be a woman. The Taddick family sure has a lot of drug charges, just saying. Has anyone ever seen S.A. angry, yelling, anything? I can't recall ever seeing it. Super Chat is a way to donate through YouTube with the $sign. That's correct. You have original criminal complaint on amended complaint. First and second amended. Are you asking me about the thing that I think Ken Kratz filed to be able to arrest Steven on the gun charge? If so, I don't have what you're asking, but I think I can get it. I can ask for what I've been meaning to ask for on that for a while now. Let's see. They say he killed her because he was angry from being locked up, but I've never seen him be. Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's always seemed very, jovial and happy-go-lucky. Brian, there was no reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury who saw the evidence. Erekose, I'm making a murderer. Worst thing about listening to KK talk to a microphone is him sipping his own spit every sentence. Yeah, that's true. Did you guys see the video that was going around on Twitter yesterday? There was somebody, this lady, I'm not sure who it was, but she was doing this impression of Kratz that was just like, holy moly, dude. I was laughing my butt off. I couldn't believe it. Like, she was just like getting down like all of his little like, his little ticks, and like just, and like the way he would pause his speech and things like that. I mean, went through it was like about a 3-minute like segment of talking and everything. And it was so funny. I was laughing my butt off. Let's see here. Obviously an extreme response, but running her off the road is worse to me. But I'm not exactly gun shy. Hello, Heather. Oh, thank you, Jacob. Thank you very much. You're very kind. Thank you. Let's see here. Hi, Greg. Hi, Amber. Hey, Heather. Erekose said he is going to try and get me what he is referring to. Yeah, let me ask the guy who I've been. There's somebody who's been talking to me about that, but I haven't actually gotten all the proof about it yet. So, doing a good job, Amber. All the best. Let's see. Falcon, he was just trying to send a message to get her to stop lying and slandering him. Doing a good job, Amberly. Right. Hi, Heather. Erekose, have you seen the Kratz holiday cookie on TTM Reddit? Cause I'll have to go over to TikTok Manitowoc on Reddit and check it out. Falcon jury was slanted with who was selected from the court if public opinion via TV. Amber, you need to be link queen. You need to post the link to that. Need a link to the video. Which video? What the hell are you talking about? Watch Donnie Baker solves Emmy. Oh, I've seen that. Jacob. Let's see here. What are you talking about, Travis? Alright, anyways. Moving on. What links do you need? I'm on it. Kratz says essay was sweaty. Brennan said he was wearing shorts in late October. Doesn't add up. KK is going to flip once he sees his chance to profit from it. We are all addicted to this, you know. Well, thank you, LL Lamar. Let's see. Amber, the message was obviously stop or I will kill you. Hello from Belgium. Hey, Jerome. How's it going, buddy? Good to see ya. Curious why he only brandished a weapon at the woman who made his super pissed, yet supposedly killed a woman who was nothing but nice to him. True. Sorry on my cell right now. Can't hardly see. That was his cousin who was saying he had sex in the front yard. Yes, that's the cousin that he ended up pointing the rifle at. That's true. Amber, when you wave a gun around at someone, you are threatening them with it. Yeah, I kind of have to agree with that. You're at least attempting to make them feel fear. He probably wants the Kratz impression link. Oh, that link. Travis, are you on Twitter? Have you developed a Twitter account yet? Hold on, I might be able to find it on Facebook. It would be in... Oh, yeah. I know where I saw it. Hold on. I got it. It wasn't that one. It was... Hold on, I'm pretty sure it's right here. Somewhere. Dang it. It's on YouTube. Hold on. Gosh. You know, I retweeted it. Let me find it that way. Sorry. Hold on. There it is. Here it comes, Travis. Copy. Here we go. All right. Okay, Falcon, you just implied. Let me see here. The battery needing change is something that they worried could be discovered, which is why they needed SA to have touched it. Yeah, fair reasoning. Tim Tittle, good theory, but seems low and like there would be more damage. The KK impression video is on here on YouTube. Yeah, I just posted a link. So let's see. You just implied that SA would have killed her if she didn't stop. Hard to kill someone with, right? Do you think Brendan could have been talking about Scott, not Stephen Avery, during his confession? See, a lot of people keep saying that to me. Here's my answer. My answer is I don't believe a word that comes out of Brendan's mouth in the confession. Here's why. Because there's really none of it that isn't fed to him or known to him because of everything that was in the media. There's literally nothing there. Okay? They tell him what happened to her. They basically coax him into saying that she was shot. They all the various things that he says they did to her, that was all just a part of guessing because he didn't know what they wanted. I mean, I'm sorry. Brendan's confession is a complete, absolute mess. It's not corroborated in any way. It's just a complete mess. Falcon, I do agree, but I don't think he was thinking clearly, and I don't think he intended to hurt her. I might already be following, but a bit drunk. Post a link anyway, if possible, for the new folks. Here's the link there. So, my hubby got a deer in the frontier. They fell under the kid's bed loaded. Not always true. My family, when I'm in Alaska, have hit several deer. Most of the time, just nicked them. Not much damage. Really, Heather must have hit in just the right spot. Ugh, wouldn't let me link that. Anyway, we only have his word that the gun was unloaded. Like that matters. Yeah, he didn't shoot. You know what does matter? He didn't pull the trigger. Jesus. If it was loaded, he didn't pull the trigger. Right? Okay, so that's the end of that. Anyway, okay. Hi, Ben Affleck's best friend. LOL. Was there another Matt Damon reference. Was there a traffic report made of the struck deer to collaborate BOD's story? There is. He actually did go get a tag for it. I know there's that. I don't know if there's a police report, but I know he did go get a tag. Falcon, the arrest for gun waving isn't what the case is about. If you want to relate his propensity for violence, then that brings LK and KK ethics into question. So you're defending LK and KK. Let's see. Barb and Scott are very interesting to me. Erekose, even though I think as a juror there's reasonable doubt in this case, do you really believe he's innocent? As I've said in the past, when it comes to Brendan, 100% innocent. When it comes to Stephen, new trial. I really can't make it any clearer than that. There is a small part of me that can see where it's possible that Stephen could have been part of this, but we don't know. We don't know what really happened. The prosecution was so busy painting a bogus picture that we don't really know what happened. We don't have the full story. And what if that, I mean it's possible. That full story, if told, could point at Stephen. Most likely doesn't. Otherwise, the prosecution would have followed it in the first place. But, am I remembering right that the jury didn't see Brendan's interrogation confession? They did. They listened to it. All except for like the last 25 minutes, something like that. Which is the part where he says they got to my head. For some reason, his lawyers allowed the recording to be stopped before that. That was a huge mistake by Fremgen. Okay. It was so sad. We had to call the game warden to remove the mother. And then they found a bullet fragment with TH's DNA in the garage where Brendan said she was shot. And then, yeah, that bullet fragment with no concrete dust on it from when they jackhammered the floor. That bullet, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm laughing at that bullet. Yeah, Scott was trying to sell that Marlin rifle shortly after all this. That's true. Brendan Dassey is like a human barnacle. He leans up against the wall. He's going to be there for 20... let's see. And no evidence a murder was committed there. Absolutely. Another question: if Stephen was good enough to burn her body to the point only some bones were left, then why would her personal effects be barely burned, like her purse and camera? Yeah, I mean, it's weird that how certain things are in certain places, like they were burned just enough so that they're like all burned, right? But they're not burned so badly that you can't tell what they are, right? So that would seem to suggest something deliberate in the destruction of those items, possibly. Look, SA was a POS in the day, not really the issue when it comes to whether he got a fair trial. Yes, Steve was certainly rough around the edges. He certainly had some personality flaws and some character flaws and everything. But that doesn't mean murder. That doesn't mean he's a murderer. It's like I keep saying, whenever guilters bring up to me, oh, but Stephen supposedly did all these things to all these girls. Yeah, why aren't they bringing charges for that? Why did they never bring any charges for any of that? If he was doing all this stuff and he was out of control and he's just out of control and pressuring girls all over seriously, if he's that bad, how did you never ever bring any charges against him for those things? No, they only become important when you're trying to get him for murder. Then suddenly those things become important. How does that work? Weird said it and Brendan agreed. Absolutely. Look, here's the thing on the tag. Maybe he unloaded it, Greg. Anyway, it's a moot point. Threatening someone with violence is what it is. Falcon twisted truth. Could Brendan witness Bobby and Maiko and Scott member? Yeah, a lot of people keep asking that. A lot of people keep asking me that. Here's my official answer. Okay, I'll say that I guess that could be a possibility, but seeing as Brendan did not really give any facts that could be corroborated, I have doubts about it. You know, I just don't believe. I don't believe Brendan was part of it. I never have. I've always believed he was guessing the entire time. It was all guessing. And the one story that Brendan tells consistently and doesn't turn into an absolute train wreck like his confession does, the one story he tells that doesn't descend into madness is the original story he tells about coming home, playing video games, so-and-so's boss called, and this and that. That story he tells consistently over and over and over, and it doesn't change. It's only the convoluted mess that the investigators are extracting that makes no sense, is just guess after guess after guess after guess, and it's just a mess. Shoot a bullet through jam and let me know if any jam is on the bullet. Absolutely, where I stand, new trial. Brendan was just a pawn, I think. Absolutely. Stephen has alibi. It checks out. Kate, that's what I am wondering myself. Yeah, I understand you guys think that. I guess you guys have something. I'm not saying you guys don't have something. I guess there's some cause to possibly think that, but the fact is when I look at Brendan's confession, it just looks like he's guessing the whole time. Too much DNA on SA, on just SA, not enough on TH, and none of BD, absolutely. Falcon, how do you explain no other DNA from TH Garage? Jesus. Previous owner also said that it was fired thousands of rounds. Yeah, they were constantly shooting gophers and all kinds of stuff around there. Squirrels and all kinds of stuff. Okay, rough. Let's see. Falcon, no blood on bullet. DNA did not come from the brain matter. Items were burned separately in the body from the body. Absolutely. What part of no brain matter on the bullet is eluding you? FK was found in an area where it should have been found in November. Absolutely. Was SA violent in prison ever? As far as I know, no. Someone explained how BD was charged with mutilating a corpse, but Stephen wasn't. Okay, since you brought that up, that's another reason why this case has issues and why there should be a chance for it on appeal. Because when you think about it, the evidence that convicts Stephen is a lot of it is based on the bones found in the burn pit and that sort of stuff. So if you're, I got to imagine the jurors thought this was going to send up a red flag, right? Because if he murdered her, then how did the body get there, right? But to me, it's a clear sign that the fact that they acquitted him of the mutilating a corpse, that tells me there were jurors in there that thought there was something going on. Thought there was something going on in this case, and that's just, I don't know, that's just the way I feel about it. It just seems that way. Sure, they burned separate. It's just super fishy how the belongings were barely burned, right? All the evidence after 11/9 is fake. Who said the wax wasn't from chapstick? Ryan H has got away lightly on the thread so far. I don't know. I spent some time talking about him and his claims about. I kind of started going into Mike Hallbach a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know. We can still talk about Ryan. No marks on bedposts. Also, yeah, absolutely. Also, the cops were on a mission to make the charges stick. Planted a key, a bullet, and some blood. It was the perfect storm. Don't think I've heard you discuss this yet. If Teresa was getting harassing phone calls, you must know who it was. So who was it? I don't know who it was. There's literally no investigation into it. All we have is Tom Pierce, his account, his affidavit. That's literally all we have. And the investigators never looked into it anymore. There's just nothing else to find. There's nothing else to see. They completely ignored that avenue, which to me is a problem, right? Because I can't imagine why they were ignoring that avenue. I can't imagine a good reason for it. Damn it. Proof of planting. There is a burnt phone in Pam's RAV. Fine picture. Front view on the bottom of leaves. I thought we had FK and FL figured out. The more I look into that yesterday and today, the more problems there are. Dude, you should have seen like Reddit and the first 6 months of MAM, dude. FK and FL got talked about so much. Oh my god. It's totally possible Brendan knew nada, but I'm convinced Bobby, Michael, and Scott are innocent. Why did they shook Ulfers? Why did they shook? I'm not sure what you're saying. Shook Ulfers. I'm not sure. I think I'm not catching you there, Travis. Very interesting. What about the van? What about the van they were selling? It was supposedly BT, but it was the boys. Well, she was trying to save it for the boys so that they could drive. Like when they started getting, when the next kid, the next boy got his driver's license or whatever, to where it would be like the car for for the kids. The thing is that from what I hear, the boys, none of the boys wanted it. It was just a huge problem. The thing, I guess, I don't know, either it was like a death trap or there was just some issue with it that they really didn't really want it. Jurors were fools to think the verdicts would send up red flags. Could be. Cremains were found in 4 areas. Let's see. Mama thinks since they aren't very smart, and maybe that's how him and Scott got together, thinking they could still get the money, but get SA out of the picture. If I delete posts, it's only to remove unnecessary stuff so that Erekose doesn't have to get behind in the chat. Let's see here. Oh, Gophers. Right, Gophers. Ah. All right. So many questions. Let's see. What about the van they were selling? Okay, I already read that one. You're still live. Yay. Hello. Hi, J Lala. FK is another bullet or something to do with the ballistics. It might be the test bullet. Erekose, what defines mutilation of a corpse? Changing the shape of a body. So a body is a certain shape and looks a certain way. If you do anything to change that, cut it, hack it, burn it, any of that, that would be mutilation. Let's see. Did Scott bring her body in at his job in a garbage bag? Then keep some to plant on SA. What Zellner's saying is like they started in the burn barrel, but they couldn't get it all to burn and everything. And so they think that Scott then took like the torso over to the smelter, and then that completely disappeared in the smelter. And then the other, like the limbs, the legs, the pelvic bones, and certain stuff like that were all still in the burn barrel, so that could be dumped into Stephen's burn pit. I believe that's what Zellner thinks. You asked about the control question. What about it? Why wasn't Ryan even looked at, considering the ex or present boyfriend is always looked at as the first suspect? Absolutely, right? Why wasn't he looked at? He should have been. He certainly should have been. It's a bullet fragment in evidence. I find SA innocent, BD innocent, BOD 99% guilty. The deer car left too close to Scott scratches. Mike, oh yeah. Let's see. Mutilation would be defined by statute. Admin the jury instructions. Oh, great. So mutilation is like an ever moving point. You can't even pin it down. We can't even get together and decide what mutilation is. It has to be decided at every trial. Oh, good Lord. No wonder trials take so long. All right. That's the $1 million question. They asked Brendan in a control question about the tattoo on the stomach. Yes, they did. I talk about the control question constantly. What are you saying about the control question, Falcon? Spit it out. Hope your theory about Brendan's jury and the red flag. Not Brendan's jury, Stephen's jury. Stephen's jury found him not guilty of the mutilation of a corpse, but found him guilty on the murder, but found him not guilty on the mutilation of a corpse. That was in Stephen's trial. That was something that many believe that the jurors were trying to do to send up a red flag. So that wasn't in Brendan's. Just to clear that up. In my opinion, RH was the one harassing her, but phone schedules you can see how he called her every day except for 10:31 because he may have knew. Yeah, possibly could have known that something was wrong with her and that's why he wasn't calling, or he knew something was going to be happening. Possibly, I don't know, but it is weird that he has no calls on that day, but he's been calling her every other day before that. He didn't have a clue what they were talking about. Oh, that's true. That's absolutely true. In fact, to suggest that it proves he was resisting officers is ridiculous. What the control question proves is that he was like putty in the hands of the investigators. Have RH break into her cell account again. If anyone watches the Texas Tech Law episode on Brendan's confession, you may change your mind about his confession. Erekose posted it, and it's well worth the watch. It is. I love those Texas Tech Law panels, so I encourage everybody to check those out. Todd, he can hack the account in 3 tries, but can't remember the messages he deleted. Yep, watch the Tech Law stuff. Jody's a basket case. RH unemployed ex-boyfriend. L's jealous stalker, home invader, password wizard, search team. I think RH is still questionable in my opinion. Rejected ex-boyfriends usually have motive. Can't count him out. Absolutely. Exactly. There was no tattoo, and he didn't know that. He saw a tattoo that didn't exist. Exactly. And didn't see a piercing that did exist. Exactly. You're a smart cookie, Amber. I have another video about that piercing. How Brendan says he saw this tattoo, agrees to seeing the tattoo, but never says a word about the actual belly button piercing that was there. I actually have a video about that, but I'm glad you've already put that together. That's awesome. Okay. Ryan and Mike seem to have very bad hired actors. Seem like very bad hired actors. But the confusion thing is Stephen never corroborated the story about being at the gas station. That's Dave's story, and that didn't come out until years after Stephen was in prison. I still, to this day, don't know if Stephen knows who Dave Bagaka is. Right? So, yeah. Falcon, when was Ryan looked at? 11/21/05 statement mistake was an exaggeration in the report that KK probably told Wiegert to make, but it was not preferred by KK. Yeah, Todd, I agree, but other than motive, nothing points to murder with him. Cover up plant, yes. How do you think Scott, Barb, and Bobby think last week's Zellner's Twitter posting? How do you think Scott, Barb, and Bobby think last week? Kate, I think that they probably hated it. I'm sure. I know because I talked to Barb occasionally. I'm sure she hated it. I'm sure she hates this video. I'm absolutely certain of it. I have all the sympathy in the world for Barb. I do. I really do. I feel like she was bullied in this. I feel like she was pushed around and she was in between a rock and a hard place all throughout all of this. I don't believe she ever had any choice in anything. Where anybody may feel that Barb had a choice in anything, it's an illusion. Any choice that was put in front of her was most likely loaded. She was being pushed to go whatever way, and yeah, I just think there's a huge case there for that, and it's unfortunate. I wish Barb wasn't having to be in the middle of all this, but I'm sure she hated the Twitter feed just as I'm sure she hates this video, and she hates any other thing where people talk about Bobby and Scott and her family. I'm sure she hates it. So I guess that's my answer there. How do you think Scott and Bobby last week? Agree. Wondered that myself. What could be Ryan's motivation for taking the diary? Who knows? I have no idea. I mean, I don't even care what his motivation is. The fact that he has it, what his motivation was, although I'm interested, it really is moot, because the fact of the matter is he has it. Yeah. Anyway, the control question. Brendan's response indicates that his will was not over. His response indicates that his will was not overcome. Okay, you're all over the place, Falcon. You're now going back and forth. Which is it? He Cops knew the ex-boyfriend did it. Repeated blocked phone calls. Right. I believe KZ implies with Ask Zellner that the killer was obsessed. I think BOD contacted her through online phone program. Could have left voicemails with it too. BOD left deleted message with comp. Was there definitely bone found in the gravel pit? Yes. Law system is confusing. Great streams, man. Thank you, Quadrix. Stevens' jury was most definitely dirty. Before they started, they took a poll and were 7 not guilty, 3. Actually, I think it was 6. I think it was 6. I think it was 7 not guilty, 3 guilty, and 2 undecided. I think. Looked at. He wasn't even asked to provide an alibi. He wasn't allowed on. Yeah. I wonder from where Scott and Barb got the money to buy the house. Where's Thomas? I bet he will be locked and loaded for the next live stream. Matt Damon is the best MAM2 live chats. Zellner believes the motive was rage after rejection. Who would that be? That would be Bobby. By finding him not guilty for mutilation, could that be the jury casting doubt over the claims they were her remains? Yes, that's them trying to cast doubt. Exactly. That's why I say sending up a red flag for the appeals court. That's why many people think that. Let's see here. Joseph the checked Ryan out. There's nothing linking him to the crime. Nothing at all. Let's see. Serial killer, multiple victims. Bobby and Mike. Then Barb should tell everything she knows about everything now. Yet people are gunning for Barb's family. I might write Steven. I'll report my findings if I get a response. Sean Atwood has the sharing a way to contact. Yeah, Sean Atwood's videos are both in the information below this video. Okay, let's see here. Barb knows Matt Damon. Sweet. Let's see. Barb strikes me as a battered woman. She strikes me as somebody who's been pushed around. Nothing linking him to the crime. What about the day planner page? Exactly. Stephen cleans the blood and DNA from the garage, bedroom, guns and knives, removes all fingerprints, right? Steering wheel, and then the blood on his feet. Yeah, absolutely. Mike deleted his Facebook. I totally get the feeling also. But leaves 6 nice drops of blood in the car. Sure, I believe that. Seems like people overlook the fact that Barb said if charges were brought against ST, she would be dead. Is that not clear? Is that not a clear cry for help? It could be. I'm sure lots of people are concerned about Barb. I know a lot of people are concerned about Barb, especially after listening to that phone call and the way it went off the rails. It's a concerning situation. The whole entire situation is concerning. It puts a lot of pressure on all the on Barb and on her family, on even Al and Dolores over at the yard. These are their kids. You think they don't care about their kids? You don't think they care about what's happening in their kids' life? So please, people, if you have any respect for me, try to have a little bit of class and try to have a little bit of understanding. I'm not saying to not have the thoughts that you have, but try to have a little bit of compassion and a little bit of understanding that this is a very rough situation. And if there's anybody that if there's any need for people to pay the piper eventually, then that's going to be addressed. So that, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But right now, it's the important thing is to continue to allow evidence to come out, to not be attacking everybody. This concerns me when I see supporters attacking people, calling people involved in the case, cold calling them, where it's not arranged and things like that. It's not cool. You're making it makes supporters look bad when we act that way, because it makes us seem like we're a bunch of irrational jerks that just go off, at a moment's notice with very little provocation. And I don't want that to be the image that the supporters of Stephen and Brendan get. That's not the image I want us to have. So, that's why I preach these things. Obviously, I know that there's a lot of people out there who aren't going to listen to me, but maybe there's a few that will. And just I can't preach it enough, people. Just try to have a little bit of class. This stuff is very volatile. It's, there's a lot of people's lives in the balance and that are affected by this. And although I understand everybody's anger, I preach tolerance. I would ask everybody to have a little bit of tolerance and wait for the wheels to go on their own. Thank you, Spicy. Oh, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for all you do. And buy yourself some beer. Oh, thank you so much, Spicy. You're so sweet. Let's see. Hi, Phoebe. LK didn't call a psychologist to validate whether or not he was coerced. LK only called a private detective to get the written... yeah. But Frengen did bring in a psychologist, and there is... They do have on the record a psychological review of Brendan. I am from Wisconsin, and yes, having a busted light is illegal. Ellie never took RH fingerprints. What Ellie documents are you referencing to substantiate your claim that Brian was checked out? I think I know who Falcon is now. And now that I think of it, Falcon appeared the same time somebody else stopped appearing. I think I may have an idea who Falcon is. Let's see here. Answer me this Goodwill Hunting LOL. Have they pumped SA septic tank for THDNA? They had to dump the rug doctor fluid somewhere. I don't know. I don't know if they've ever pumped his septic tank. But I mean, I would imagine they might have thought about that when they were trying to get the rug doctor and all that sort of stuff. Hi, Chris Loves YouTube. I can see you being one who would burn people or kill those who were called witches in medieval times and colonial times. I think she's handling herself a lot better than she did in the first time. I think she's gotten better. I think she has, certainly. She's starting to be able to handle all of the stuff a little bit better. She doesn't let it overwhelm her quite as much, and so I'm glad about that. She's growing and getting stronger. And that's what I want to see for Barb. I want to see her get stronger and be able to stand on her own 2 feet and to where something like this doesn't happen to her again. I'd really like that for her. All the truth will come to light. Well, most of it, hopefully, not too late. Listen to the latest BOD interview. It made me feel sick. You could hear his kids running around, etc. No idea how he is not locked up. Regarding child porn, it was yeah. As I said, remember I was preaching tolerance. I'll bet Barb gets a lot of nasty calls and letters from truthers. I'm sure she gets probably a fair amount of negative stuff. I'm sure. Who's he speaking to? That's how I took it. What Barb said. I care about Barb. Let's see. Dang it. This stupid chat. I care about Barb, especially since she has been through so much and it's her family. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for always keeping it classy and keeping it to the facts. Mick, the computer only had searches for it, no images. Disturbing, but not illegal. Iron Man tonight. Thank you, Jerome. To show an entire police department guilty will never happen. It's too much burden on the government to handle. Yeah, right. Stay classy, San Diego. Spicy Melody. Can't believe Barb would have known about anything suspicious, and I don't see how she would let her one son go into jail just to protect the other one. I think whatever the truth is, which could be many different things, Barb knows what the truth is, and that can be quite a burden for a mother to carry. Exactly. Well, let me put it to you this way. Let's say Barb does know something, potentially. I don't know what it could be, but everybody keeps saying it could be, right? So let's say it could be. Let's say she knows something. Whatever it is, she's probably gonna get. Whoever it was, if she hasn't spoke about it, it's because somebody's intimidating her, or there's some reason why she's not speaking about it. There's something out there deterring her from speaking about it, if it's true. Okay, so once again, it all comes right back around to she's being intimidated, and what we're really seeing is that she's afraid to rock the boat. Maybe potentially, in theory. All I know is that I see somebody who was overwhelmed by all these law enforcement officers, overwhelmed by the investigation, overwhelmed by just about virtually every single thing when it comes to this. Your version of this case isn't challenging to anyone that has done any research. You aren't learning and you aren't teaching. You are simply an irritant. We always appreciate all the attention and hard work you provide in getting the truth out. Oh, thank you so much, Shona. All you have to do is look at her reaction to her son when she asks him, did you? And he said, no, not really. What do you mean, no, not really? They got to my head. That was not an act in my eyes. I agree. Do we know how long ST was in Barb's life before all this all happened? They had just started seeing each other. They had been seeing each other, I think, for like a month. I think they had started seeing each other like on September or something or other. Let's see. Scott UK. No, it's not. I don't think it's Scott UK. Do we know? Scott UK, are you kidding me? Falcon is way too... Say what you want about Falcon, but Falcon is pretty much classy. Doesn't say a whole lot of things that are really out of bounds. So, I don't know. I'm thinking it's not a Scott UK, but more of maybe somebody else who's a little nicer. I came over here from Laura's channel. The phone in Pam's picture is no BS. Please look. I believe in Zellner. Let's see here. Gosh, this thing skips, man. Jeez. Okay, time for the sack. Okay, I think everybody's getting tired here, and I am kind of too. So I think we're gonna go ahead and start winding it down at this point. Yeah, you are using a new username because you're a band. Don't forget to smash the like button. Yes, like button, everybody. Hit like. Make sure you like it. That helps it get shared by YouTube and helps it get, to reach more people. So please do. Guys, try not to cuss in here, please. No profanity. Yes, thank you. Try not to cuss, folks. I mean, I know sometimes when you're passionate, you let one, slip, or you put one in for emphasis, but try not to do it too much. If BOD used an online phone program, he could be her harasser. His voicemail could be the one Ryan deleted. I believe KZ has proof. Could be. I think she might. If Scott had broken down, etc. If as you say, whatever is true, I don't know. Scott has broken down. Yeah. She might be. No one saw or heard anything. Not going for 3.5 hours like a... No! Can I just be honest? Do you guys notice when Laura goes like past 2.5 hours or past 3 hours? Like, do you notice like it gets slower? It gets like it's just by that time you're getting so worn out paying attention to a chat and ordering your thoughts and trying to say what you want to say and stuff. By the time you get to that mark, you're starting to wear down. And that's what I've been noticing about her when she goes too long. She starts to wear down, and she's afraid to cut it when she probably should. But this chat needs at least one irritant, otherwise you're in a vacuum. Hey, Falcon, people that don't believe, or people that believe as you do, or people that believe Stephen and Brendan are guilty, are always welcome here on my channel. I never exclude anybody. Hey, even Scott Yuck is welcome here. He actually showed up the other day. I couldn't believe it when I saw his name. Holy crap, that was funny. Yeah, it's just, as you're going on, you're getting more worn out. You're just getting, and you're reading the chat, and you're just starting to get like that like monotone, or you're just getting into that. Yeah, it's just it gets, after a little while, it gets to the point where you just got to say, you know what, okay, it's time to cut it here. We'll save it for the next one, and come back at it fresh the next time. So that's just kind of the way I look at it. I'll send you an email soon, but I don't have time this week. Okay, Jerome, we'll get around to it. I got some things cooking this week anyway, so Sean Atwood on Thursday, I hope. I got to talk with him and get that set up. But I hope that's going to be a special treat for everybody on Thanksgiving. So, I've got some things in the work here. I hope they're going to be, well received, and I hope everybody's going to enjoy it. I'm enjoying your discussions on the same video. Also, did you see the banner in Ireland? Yes, I did. Saw that. Yeah, KZ retweeted that. That was cool. That was awesome. You provide an irritating feeling, but would like to see you explain more, not just regurgitate prosecution's case. Right. Yes. Thank you, Quadrex. Thank you, Chris Loves YouTube. It did say free Stephen Avery. I saw it. Yes, I saw it. It was cool. It was way cool. It was way cool, dude. Sean Atwood is going to be a fun live. I don't know if it's going to be live. I haven't decided if it's going to be live yet. Okay, so good night, everybody. As you know, obviously, you can use this chat. You can stay in this chat. I mean, I've had people stay in it for 3 or 4 hours after the video. You can stay here and continue to discuss the case. I will pop in at times during that 3 or 4 hours. I'll obviously be doing some other things, so I'm not always there, but I will pop in and talk with you guys here if you want to stick around and talk in the chat. So that's something you can do. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see ya.